Hey, what's up? This is Harry Wagner from Harry Situations, and today I want to talk to you about what to take on the trail. I have a trip to the Rubicon coming up, gonna spend a couple nights out there, so this is a pretty typical setup that I would bring on, not just the Rubicon, but Fordyce, any sort of high alpine trail where I'm gonna spend the night. I'm putting this all in my LJ, so that is a consideration. If I was in a four-door JK or JL or my Ford truck, I'd have more space. I'd probably bring more things. If I was in something like my Tracker, I'm gonna have to pare this down even further due to space constraints. So we're gonna touch on that a little bit more, but talk about the fundamentals on what you wanna bring with you on the trail. So stay with us. I really like these Frontrunner Wolf cases. I put all my cooking gear and my dry goods in these. It keeps them from getting crushed. They're stackable, easy to put into the vehicle. I put stickers on them to tell them apart what's in which one. This one's got a Nitto sticker on it. This video is actually brought to you by Nitto. If you're not familiar with their tires, you should be. Go check out nittotires.com. They make everything from drift tires to off-road tires to tires for your daily driver in a variety of sizes. So they definitely have something for you. So in here, I've got my stove for cooking, and this just lives in here all the time, makes it easy to toss in the vehicle. This one here is a little more involved. We've got all the things I need for cooking. We've got a cutting board, we've got some plates and bowls. One of the things I bring on the trail with me is water, but you can never have too much water, so the life straw comes in handy if you need to refill your water bottles. We've got utensils in here, tongs for using the grill. There's a lantern in here, a thermocell for bugs, a roll of paper towels, some salt and pepper, things like that, a lighter. So all those little things that you need when you're cooking, when you're out camping, they just live in this container. Makes it super easy. It's all in one place. If I run out of something or there's something I don't have in here that I want, I just make a note when I'm camping. So when I get home, I remember, I put it in here for the next trip. That really comes in handy. And then I've got another one of these. This one has dry goods in it, your potato chips, your fruit, things like that. And that way they're not getting crushed on the trail. I'm just gonna load all of these into the vehicle as I'm talking through them and show you a typical loadout for the Jeep. These are wolf packs from Frontrunner. They're based on like an ammo box design. You might use something like an Action Packer or a Pelican case. The thing I like about these is the sides are straight up and down. Something like an Action Packer is curved. It doesn't have quite the interior volume that this does, so I feel like these work really well for the trail. They're stackable, they nest together really nicely. I've also got a freezer fridge. This one's from Dometic. So I'm gonna put all of my cold goods in here, maybe some chicken, maybe you wanna grill up a steak in camp, all of my beverages. Honestly, an ice chest works just as well for something like a 2-day trip, maybe 3 days, 2 nights. For me, I usually use an ice chest if it's going in the bed of a truck, and if it's something enclosed in an SUV, I usually use the fridge just because it seems easier to route power and to plug it in. But I don't know, that's just my rule of thumb. You might have something different. So you can't really have too much water, whether it's for your radiator, whether it's for you, your pet, whatever. I bring a couple gallons of water. These are nice because they have screw-on lids, not the push-on lids. Those tend to pop off and make a big mess. I also really like this WaterPORT. I don't love how bulky it is with the fittings that stick out, but this you can pressurize. It really comes in handy if you're dry camping in the desert. Even on a trail like the Rubicon, you can rinse off. Maybe you're doing dishes, you can use it for things like that. It's black, so it sort of warms up the water, which is nice if you're using it for dishes or for rinsing off. That comes in handy. You could also use, I've seen people use just a sort of garden sprayer. That works similarly too, and probably less expensive than the WaterPORT. Not quite as elegant of a solution, but it works. This bag has recovery gear in it. This usually lives in the Jeep, so it's got soft shackles and D-ring shackles in it. It's got my hose to use my air compressor. a kinetic strap in here. There's a tire plug kit in here, tree saver strap. So all those sorts of things. It usually lives in the Jeep, but it's gonna go on top of the cases when we're loading out. I also have tools in the Jeep. Being a two-door, the way the tub drops down right behind the front seat, that's where I keep my tools. They're sort of heavy, so they're low and behind the seat, and they live in there all the time also. I'm only going for a couple days, so I didn't need to bring a ton of clothes with me, but you want to bring things like a second pair of shoes, layers if you're on a trail like the Rubicon or any high alpine trail. When the sun goes down, it cools off quite a bit, so you want to make sure you bring long pants, layers, jackets. This year, mosquitoes have been terrible, so you definitely want to bring your bug spray, and you want to bring long sleeves, maybe even during the daytime, just to keep the bugs from eating you up. I also bring swimming gear with me, so trails like the Rubicon where you have these high alpine lakes, it's great to take a dip after a hot day on the trail, so I'll bring flip-flops, I'll bring a towel, and my bathing suit. Don't want to forget those. Like with my cooking gear, I keep all of my camp gear together all the time, so I'm not going to forget anything. This dry bag keeps things, in this case, keeps them from getting wet, but more importantly, it keeps them from getting dusty on the trail. I've got my sleeping bag in here. I've got actually a tent in here. This is a one-person tent, not really going to work well for me and my wife and the dog, but if I'm by myself. My sleeping pad. I love this X-Ped pad, super comfortable, and I added their widget, which will inflate the pad. I start this process while I'm setting up the tent, and it's inflated by the time I've got the tent set up, which is really efficient when you get to camp. One less thing to worry about. This also doubles as a flashlight. It's rechargeable, which is great. I've got a camp pillow. If you forget this, I'll use the stuff sack and just put some clothes in it. That works too. In this case, I've got a sleeping bag liner for those cold nights. Probably not gonna need that in the summertime, but comes in handy in the winter. And all that just lives right in here. I don't put the sleeping bag, this is a down bag, so I don't keep it in the stuff sack all the time. That can sort of impact the loft of the bag, make it not as effective, not keep you as warm. So in the dry bag, it's kind of compressed, but it's definitely not as compressed as being in something like a stuff sack. You may have noticed the Jeep's starting to get pretty crowded, and I still don't have a lot of my camping gear. I don't have my wife's bag in there yet, so we have to get creative with a vehicle like this when it comes to packing. So I've got this saddle bag here from Bestop, and this actually clips right to the roll cage. I put it on the driver's side here. That way it doesn't impede my vision. If I look over my shoulder, I can still see out of the passenger side. And in this, I like to put, I've got this fold-up table here that can go in there. And then I mentioned that I only had a backpacking tent that was good for one person. I'm going with my wife and the dog. We're gonna need a bigger tent than that. That can fit in here too. This tent's not gonna fit. And then we strap this to the roll cage. It's not taking up any floor space. It can just be on the side of the vehicle. It's really a good spot if you want to put, these things I don't need to access a ton, but if you have things that you want to access on a regular basis, that's a very convenient place to put those. That's not going anywhere. Next, we've got a Trasharoo that I'm going to put on the spare tire here. I don't normally drive around with this on the truck, but it comes in handy on trips like this. This is just basically a backpack for your spare tire. You can put more than trash in it. I've got these Helinox chairs. I find these are a great compromise between being comfortable, but also being pretty small and compact. So there's other chairs on the market that are even smaller, like backpacking style chairs, but your butt's 6 inches off the ground. I find them really hard to get in and out of. And then you've got big, comfy lounge chairs, but those take up a ton of space and we don't have that much space. So we're gonna put these in here. I would probably put more bedding if I had it. I would put that in here. And then sometimes firewood, along with a sturdy trash bag in here to keep all my trash. That's not going anywhere. Those wolf packs made a nice flat base inside of our vehicle, so we don't want to forget Monty's bed. We want him to be comfortable on the trail. Since he's a heeler, we like to keep him in the vehicle. If he's outside the vehicle, he's trying to hurt us. He can get underneath the tires. It always makes me nervous, so he's better off riding inside. That covers the basics of what I bring on the trail. So I've got my recovery gear and my tools that live in the vehicle all the time, and then I'm gonna bring along camping gear, cooking gear, my clothing, my bedding, that freezer fridge with my cold goods in it, and that pretty much wraps it up. Did I forget anything? Make sure and comment below and let me know, and don't forget to like and subscribe.
Thanks for watching Driving Line. If you guys like this video, consider subscribing to our channel so you'll never miss any of the content we create here. Whether you're into trucks, Jeeps, imports, domestic vehicles, or anything in between, we are here to fuel your passion. So hit that subscribe button and we'll see you guys next time.